Okay, David, want to show you what's going on with Sarangyi, what we're working on today. Um, so Sarangyi's been here a couple of weeks, and definitely the first couple weeks, there's always kind of a getting to know you period, sort of a figuring out the dog and knowing everything about her. It takes a little while, kind of building relationship, and I feel like that's going really well. And what I got to say about this dog is I think she is absolutely the perfect dog for you in your situation. What I mean by that is Sarangi is a very sweet dog. She's a very lovey dog. She's a dog who's very intent on wanting to please. She's also relatively low, kind of medium to low level drive. This would be a dog that if she was in my kennel, I would definitely want to see her going into a pet home or a therapy home or something of that sort where the dog is going to have primarily a companion role. Is going to suit her well. She would not be suited for a really like hard charging, hunting dog. That's really not her. That's not her style. That's not her strength. So this is perfect for where we've got her. I think she would hunt if you wanted her to hunt, um, but I think this is going to be her forte is working in this companion role. So I'm glad to get to work with her. So what we're working on today is we're talking about e-collar conditioning. So e-collar conditioning is simply doing obedience, but instead of using a leash to communicate with the dog, we are using the electronic training collar. So what I always tell people is when we use the training collar, if you choose to use one when you get her home, that's perfectly fine. She will respond nicely to it. But my goal is that we want to see the dog trained to a level that she responds to the commands without you having to use electronic stimulation all the time. And the vast majority of Labrador retrievers rarely need electronic stim for day-to-day obedience stuff. The only exceptions might be like if a dog is, bolting after a squirrel and headed into the road, or some drastic, stimulus that they have to go chase. But really, the whole point of using the electronic training collar is to replace the necessity for having a leash. And of course, the great value in replacing the leash with an electronic collar is that this particular collar setup that I'm using has a 1 mile range and it never gets tangled. So, one of the important things about understanding dog psyche is that dogs are very, very sensitive to the environment. They are paying attention to everything that is around them. And by far, the most important thing that they pay attention to is us. We have bred that into them for centuries. And so she is reading us. And so, for example, Sarangi is reading me right here. The fact that I'm standing still, I'm not moving, I haven't given her a command. She understands that this is time to sit still and be here. She is cueing off of me. And in particular, she's here on the left side. She's in the laying down position. I'm okay with her laying down. If she was sitting, that would be fine as well. If she was to be standing up, I would tell her to sit. But as I want her in sort of, this is what we sometimes call position one, or like the default spot. The idea is if the dog is at heel right here beside us, it's pretty hard for her to make a bad decision, right? Like she's not going to jump on someone. She's not going to get on the counter. She's not going to, bark. She's not going to run off. She's not going to get hurt. None of those things happen when the dog is at heel. So we want the dog to think in their mind, this is the spot. This is where I want to be. I want to be at the heel position. That's always the right spot to be. Now, of course, with the leash on, it's very easy to control them in this spot. The question is, how do you get them back there if they're away from you? So very, very, very frequently, we have people bring me a dog and they say, well, my dog does really well when they're right here 3 feet away. But when they're 50 feet away out here in the yard, they blow me off. They don't mind. And a lot of times, people use the word stubborn or use the word defiant. Rarely is a dog actually stubborn or defiant. Rather, most Labradors tend to be. They will do something because they have learned that they can do that. They have learned that if they're not beside you, you can't control them. And of course, that's what the remote training collar solves, is the fact that even when you're far away, you still have to mind me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk around a little bit with Sarangyi, and I'm going to show you how we condition this. Because the most important thing is come here. Just come here and sit down. All right, and that's what we want her to do. If she will come to us and sit down and be calm like this, we're aces. That is 99% of obedience is come here, sit down, and don't cause a problem. And really, this is kind of like what I have seen. This is kind of Sarangyi's mood. She's very cool with this. She's very happy to just sit here and chill and keep an eye on things. Now, I do have one before I get into this. I want to give one small concern. Um, Sarangyi got a cut on her leg, on her kind of on her thigh up here. You may be able to see it in this video. She got a scratch. It was no big deal, but it is going to leave a small scar for a little while, and it's going to take a little while for that hair to grow back in. We gave her antibiotics for a couple days. It's no big deal. We keep that on hand because little scratches like that happen all the time, especially when we're out running around. It probably happened when she was jumping in the pond, is probably what happened. But anyway, you may see that little mark on her leg. That's from that little scratch that she had, and it's already it's totally healed up now, and no problem. But it is going to take a little while for the coat to grow back in and look nice. Yeah, she will go. Okay, so we're just going to walk around here, and eventually, what I want her to do is I want her to stay in the heel position. So right now, she's out here in front of me, and what I'm going to do is I am going to get her back in position. Because right now she's 20 feet in front of me. So I'm going to say, Sarangyi, here, heel, heel, okay, sit. Good. Now, what I want her to do is I want her to respond to the command the first time every time. So what I did there is I gave her a slight little electronic stimulation, and she immediately turned around and came right to me. Ultimately, what we want to even be able to do is to do it without the stimulation. And then we can also use tone. But ultimately, we want her to respond to the command. And so the e-collar conditioning helps reinforce the command at a distance. Right? Come on, let's go. Good. Again, she's going to get out of here in front of me a little bit. Right? Good. Sarangyi, here. Good. Here. Good. Sit. And right there, you might have seen her ear flick. She went kind of like this. She's flicking her ear. That's because I was giving her an electronic stimulation. Okay, and that is the exact same feeling. It's even on the same spot on her body as the leash that we've been working on for the first couple of weeks. So you'll see them kind of flip their ear, flick their head like, oh yeah, it's like you're pulling on the leash. But again, we come back to heel. Come here and sit down. Good. All right. And you can see, read her body language. She's a little bit uptight here because she's like, you've been tugging on the electronic leash here. Sarangyi, here. Good. Sit. Good dog. Very nice. So they're a good, quick response. That time I actually used the tone feature. Um, and really, with a dog as sensitive as she is, if you were using an electronic collar, what I would say would probably even be a good setting for her is to use a vibrate function. Most of these collars will have a vibrate feature here. So like there was the vibrate, and she immediately responds even to the vibrate. So she is responding to every stimulus to come to me and sit down and be a good girl. So, I really like what I see here. Good girl. All done. Good. And I give her the command there to say all done, meaning you're free to go. And so right now she's kind of wandering off behind the camera doing her own thing. So all in all, I really do think this is, come here, baby. This is a wonderful dog for you. Hi. Hi. She's obviously very affectionate, very sweet, extremely well socialized. You guys have done a great job with her, and I'm really enjoying getting to help teach her some of these slightly more advanced obedience things. But she's making great progress. She's working with me. She's really easy to keep. We have been 100% keeping her on potty training schedule, so that's all been going really, really well. We've had no accidents inside at all. So she's been very, very clean, very quiet, very easy to keep, and a great dog. So she's doing great, making good progress. Very happy with her.